And so I often tell people that in today's world, even if you're at a very large company, I have so many of my colleagues, you know, they suddenly find that everyone's calling them, and then when they don't have this position, nobody calls them. So they call me and they say, like, how come they call you and they don't call? I said, two reasons. One is I told you build a skill. But I said the second is when you had that power and when you had all that money, you didn't treat people really well because you actually like kicked them around because you had that power. I said I didn't do that. I was like being very nice because I said one day I'm going to be out on the streets, so I better be nice to everybody. I mean, not just nice to be nice, but like respectful and answer calls, etc., take meetings. And that is a big thing that so I've become this company of one primarily because it gives me a great degree of freedom. It gives me a great degree of optionality. It allows me to learn a lot if you sort of think about it. And in today's world, it allows me to move really fast, cost effectively compared to a lot of other people, right? Which is, if you notice when you call me, I was the person responding. I was the person, for the calls. I didn't have an agent, an executive assistant, anybody. Now, I'm not saying those people aren't good. I had all of those, right? But what happens is my whole thing is you're dealing with me. And what that does is it gives you a great degree of freedom.
Rashad, you remind me. So I started this podcast in October, and I have spoken to so many people, so many very different people, and I am learning so much. So when I listen to you talk about the freedom that you have and the different people you can talk to, it just really fills you up, doesn't it? Yeah, it expands the power of what you can even think about. So it's a lot of fun. Let's do this. Let's go back to your book for a second. You talk about digitalog companies, organizations that expertly integrate digital tools with analog people. So it's a powerful concept. Paint us a picture. So, what does digitalog company actually look like in practice? And more importantly, what are the warning signs that a company maybe has become too data blind?
Yeah, so very much like my belief that the future is about story and spreadsheet and math and meaning. A digital company basically utilizes the latest of digital and today AI and other technology, but
Okay.
they do it in a way that expands, extends, and celebrates the humans that work in the company. Okay.
Give me an example.
So I'll give you a very simple example of two companies in which remain somewhat true today, and then two companies which were one was more Digilog and one was less Digilog, and how one of them actually figured out what to do. So I'll give you sort of an example. And everybody knows these names, but you'll be surprised when you see how they did. So let's look at airlines. Airlines fly the very same planes to the very same airports under the same FAA rules. So if you look at a commodity product, it's an airline. If you think about it, right? If the jets are from Boeing, the planes are whatever, they have to follow FAA rules, the fuel is the same. Why is it that one airline consistently is the most profitable airline with the highest employee scores and customer scores, and another airline keeps getting into trouble? And the two airlines are Delta and American. Okay. So Delta keeps soaring to new heights, and American keeps like bopping around. Okay. And the reason is American for a long time was run by a bunch of engineers who optimized for the plane. And Delta obviously has to optimize for the plane, otherwise the plane will crash. You'd have a problem. It doesn't matter how good the service is if everybody's dead. Okay. But they invested a lot of money in people, in training people, in sharing about 25 to 30% of the profits with the employees, of having bonus days on Valentine's Day. That's when they would give people sort of bonuses. So you step into a Delta flight cabin, even an economy and an American cabin, and it's a night and day difference. And basically, it's a culture of people and they build amazing sort of technology around it. But that's sort of one example in that area. I'll give you another example of which are two very well regarded companies. At that time and now, they're also continue to be well regarded. But I'll actually name three companies and how they've changed in position.